films, series, and experience. Hello, good folks on the internet. Welcome to Filmy GP. Today we have a show which has probably produced one of the best second seasons ever. JK. I mean, just kidding. It's The Family Man season 2. I remember watching the first season very late, not right away when it was released back in 2019, but somewhere around last year in one of the early lockdowns. And I was mind blown by one of the extremely well executed cliffhangers for an Indian web series. Ever since then, I was eagerly waiting for the season 2 and was wondering what could the makers possibly have in store for the second season, with the cast expanding to even bigger name of Indian cinema like Samantha. And then it dropped. Boy oh boy, was it an amazing binge. So what makes it the best in the business? Here are the 5 points which I feel worked very well in favor of Family Man season 2 and 2 points which I wish they had reconsidered. The character arcs from season 1 never dropped or altered drastically for various reasons usually the commercial hits go for. Pakistani terrorist Samir is still hellbent on hurting India. Shrikant Tiwari still has FOMO, ROFLO and everything in between for his task job. Suchi still can't open up freely. The kids still are consistently being themselves and never lost importance in the plot. And JK is just being JK. Even the characters introduced in this season have equally good character development. Characters like Muttu and Umayad just get woven into the fabric of this universe so effortlessly. Even the antagonists have a very believable arc carved up for them and never lose the audience for 1 second. In today's day and age, it doesn't take long for certain ideologies or narratives in filmmaking to become dated and become hurtful or offensive to a lot of communities with no voice. For example, for years in Indian cinema, mental health has never been considered as a matter of lot of seriousness or sensitivity. But glad the scene is now changing. The debate of normalizing the talk about mental health becomes more apt than a taboo only when it is used in subtle and believable ways on screen. Counseling episodes of Suchi, symptoms of PTSD shown by Milind, trauma faced by Raji at the hands of her boss or a local rowdy or Sri Lankan soldier for that matter, the reasons, the fights, the struggles of Sri Lankan Tamils are all handled with extreme care, lot of good research and sensitivity. The way with which the linguistic diversity is portrayed and how the characters behave when they are around a person from a different culture of our country is also portrayed in a very real life like manner. For example, the Tamilian Muttu gets offended by Northy generalization of Tamilians as Enna Raskala or just Idli Dosa. A Northy Milind gets pissed by Tamil songs playing on the radio and switches it back to Hindi. Or a Tamilian Umayad saying, "You pronounced my name correctly," to a Marathi JK, to which he responds, "In Marathi also we have the letter La." And the whole show switching effortlessly between Hindi, Tamil, English or Marathi, just like how it would happen in a day-to-day scenario. And people finding the balance, the unity and the way of coexistence and overcoming any difference is also like how the real people in this country would do and not shown in an overly dramatic or preachy way. Over the period of 9 episodes, the show doesn't feel lagging one bit and keeps the intrigue peaked at all times. Usually the family scenes become a drag when the main arc of the show or a film is thriller, action or espionage. But this show makes sure the family scenes are also as important as anything else and does full justice to the name. It is very easy for a film or a show to lean on specific narrative, especially in crime thrillers involving national security as the theme. But The Family Man doesn't preach anything. It doesn't label things good or bad. It just paints them as it is. The agents who work and even martyr for the country do not get all the bureaucracy that goes behind, and they ultimately choose to ignore it and do their work irrespective of the result or the narrative it pictures in the end. Even in the family setup, it doesn't portray Suchi as an out and out villain mother or Shrikant as an absent dad always. It just portrays a real life scenario where people could mess up sometimes and how things could turn out. And that's what makes it real and close. The casting of this show is a thing of near perfection. Devadarshini as Umayal, Maim Gopi as Bhaskaran, Seema Biswas as PM, and Vipin Sharma as Sambit shine brighter even in smaller roles. Ashlesha Thakur as Dhriti, the sassy teenager, and Vedant Sinha as Atharv, the annoying preteen oblivious boy, have aced their roles perfectly. Shahab Ali as Sajid Ghani brings the menace back from season 1 effectively. Anand Sami as Selva Raghavan has put up a brilliant performance. Ravindra Vijay as Muthu Pandian complements the scenes perfectly well with JK and Shrikant and has been an amazing found. The now beloved Sandeep Bhaiya Sunny Hinduja as Milind performed brilliantly. I would have loved to see the talented Shreya Dhanvantri as Zoya more on screen, but hoping to see her back in action for season 3 with more emotional charge and room for some amazing performance. Sharib Hashmi has now officially become JK. Just killed it. Writing a funny best friend, sidekick type of role is a pretty common trope now. But doing that and continuing it with freshness and gravitas is real challenge. Both the writers and Sharif have done a tremendous job in keeping JK closer to our hearts. And my god, have I loved Priyamani's performance as Suchi this season. The dilemma her character faces on what to do with the truth, the suppressed guilt turning into anger and being projected on the family, and feeling helpless and sorry about it at the same time, and finally breaking down in the end. It's all close to real life and how many and many people in the world would be feeling the exact same thing. And bringing that realness to the screen is a true talent of a performer. Hats off. The man, the myth, the legend himself. Mr. Manoj Bajpayee, sir, are you even for real? A man who can fit into any role like a chameleon and ace it without breaking a sweat. There couldn't have been a better Shrikant Tiwari ever. The sheer range of emotions he exhibits so beautifully is unbelievable. Now, the star of the season and the showstopper, Samantha Ruth Prabhu Akkineni. My god, what a revelation. When people saw her first on Super Deluxe, they reluctantly opened up to the idea that she could portray much, much more than just a lovable, sweet, extremely beautiful kind of characters. But she has taken her range to a next level, and how well. From the subdued and timid mask of an innocent worker to an absolute monster who can kick ass and serve it on the platter. She has aced every bit of that arc, transformation, and everything in between to perfection. Performing own stunts in a well choreographed long shot action scenes without much jump cuts is a big bonus. Raji is one of the strongest female characters written and acted in modern day. When we talk about all the notable performances and great stuff in this show, it is really important to thank the makers Rajan DK, the writers Suman Kumar, Sumit Arora, and Manoj Kumar, and the director Suparna Verma for bringing this tight-knit thriller to us. Now, I have two complaints. First, I was going through a video of one of my favorite YouTubers, Jamie from Tried and Refused Productions, where he mentions it is comparatively less jarring if it is done when the color of the character is not the main point of the story. I'd have to respectfully disagree with my favorite YouTuber here. I feel this shouldn't have been done. If Raji's character's color wasn't important, Samantha should have played this character in her natural color. If the argument is that a trained militant would have been tanned, they should have gone for something natural, like they did in the movie Karnan, where they allowed the cast to be tanned naturally before the filming began. Or they could have simply gone for a makeup that would have looked much more natural. Almost the whole country knows Samantha from her previous films, and it becomes really distracting even if her performance is top notch in the show. And this would unnecessarily lead to cultural appropriation debates on an otherwise well made show. Hope the makers realize this mistake and do not repeat it in their upcoming shows. Second, now hear me out. I'm not shaming smokers here, nor am I saying is it unnatural or uncommon. But the problem I have is with the tropes that are used so excessively in films and shows to establish a point. IT employees smoke in the name of pressure or lifestyle. Police officers or other officers in various armed forces abuse alcohol and tobacco as if it's a daily meal. It may be mostly true and it is okay also, but there is no point in keeping repeated shots just to make a point unless the plot revolves around it. Putting scenes just for the sake of it or let the characters utter line like अब तेरे टेंशन को धुआं में निकाल दो isn't absolutely necessary. Don't want to be preachy about the social responsibilities and all, but I feel like we can do without the beaten to death tropes. Best example I could think of is the show The Last Hour on Prime Video, where, if I'm not wrong, none of the main characters smoked on screen. And that is the end of the video. Wait a minute. How can you end this without talking about him, the legend? I don't have to, because he already knows it. Hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Filmy Cheapy signing off.